one subscription can send you multiple notifications, right? And you can also have multiple subscriptions. That's not a problem at all. So in this case, in this demo, I'm going to subscribe to one of my addresses, and then I will receive notifications on movements on those addresses. So far, so good.
I'm Mantis. I head of the marketing team here at Tatum, and I'm sort of wanted to bring this event forward to you people because for us, notifications is something that we get asked about a lot at Tatum. So we really felt the need to cover this more extensively. But I couldn't do this myself, so I need Shiv and Petter, the people who know the topic, to cover this. But Shiv, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Manta. So, hey guys, I'm Shiv, product manager at Tatum. I'm working on the data products here at Tatum with one of my colleagues, Nader. He should be here with us in the Discord as well. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you about the notifications, how these products could help you in your applications and the blockchain use cases that you guys are working on as well. And yeah, Peter, maybe if you'd like to talk.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. My name is Peter. I'm a solutions engineer here at Tatum, which is essentially a way to look for technical solutions to business problems. And today I'm going to be speaking more on the tech side of blockchain notifications, along with Shiv and Mantas.
Wait, so there's a couple of rules and housekeeping that we want to do before we start. So we really like this to be an open conversation and dialogue. So if you want to just drop a question while we go through the topic in the chat, we'll just try to answer it right away. But maybe also, guys, let us know where you're joining us from, just to start the chat going. So myself, I'm joining from Prague, the Czech Republic. We have one of our offices here, although I'm in my personal living room. And Petr, I think you're also in Prague.
That's correct. I'm also in Prague, same as Mantas, also from my home office today, and passing the word to the almost other side of globe, to Shiv.
Well, interestingly, I'm still on the same side of the globe this time because I'm in Brno right now, in the office, though I'm from Chennai in India.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
short
guys, let
view.
us know where you're joining us from. Drop it in the chat. We'd be curious to see where our audience is from. But I'll go ahead and maybe just walk us through a little bit about what we'll cover. So more broadly, we want to just go over what are notifications, blockchain alerts, webhooks, whatever you want to call it, but just general define it. We want to talk about how does it work in particular, the details around it. We want to go through the sort of the demo environment of it and show you how it works in action, and then look at some of the edge cases, some of the more advanced topics that may be relevant for you, and we'll have a broader discussion at the end of it. But again, as we go through this, we want to go through the questions as well. So as soon as you have a question, just drop it in the chat. We'll answer it. And uh, Petra, I'll let you start and go through what are the notifications, and share your screen, and you can guide us through the topic.
Absolutely. Give me just a second to share my screen here. And we actually prepared this topic together with Shiv, who's going to speak more about the product side at first, more of the overview.
Nice to see people joining from all over the world. We have people from Korea, Canada. Nice. It's great to see people coming from different
Yeah, good to see
areas.
guys from Canada because it must be morning there, right? Yes.
Morning or Korea must be late evening.
No, I was saying Canada. Let me check. Yeah, it's like 10:30 at this time in Canada, which is nice. But yeah, guys, let's maybe kick it with what are notifications. And I would love if you could also share in the chat like what kind of blockchain projects you guys are working on. Maybe if you could give one line or two about. Yeah, it's like 12:30 a.m. here somewhere. Interesting. But yeah, I would love if you could share a bit about your project as well in the chat while we are going ahead. But I would just give you a quick introduction, right? So basically, let's say if you are building a blockchain application and you want to be alerted when your user or any activity happens on on-chain, right? So let's say you are a wallet provider, or let's say you're a wallet application. Generally, when someone would deposit funds let's say when they would swap funds, when they would send funds out of the wallet, you need to give them alerts, right? Like, hey, you did this transaction, this is done now. Like if you guys have been using Binance, like lately in Binance, when you have a deposit coming in, you would get a alert from Binance before the deposit really arrives in your wallet. Basically what they're doing is it's they're scanning the chain if there is a transaction related to the wallet where you might have deposited tokens or and funds. They're giving you an alert, right? So our notifications product basically allow you to monitor on-chain transactions for any wallet that you would be interested in doing so, or any contract log events, right? So let's say if you are interested in listening to all the Uniswap events that are happening, right? Maybe you are interested in listening to all the Uniswap events, and then you also would, let's say, filter down to a specific token to see if someone is buying that token or selling that token in the real time. You could use our notifications for that. Let's say if you're interested to do the wallet use case, right, where let's say your customers are depositing funds in the platform, they're swapping, sending out, you could use our notifications product for that. All you would need to do is kind of use our APIs and pass there, let's say, the chain that you want to listen to. We support quite wide variety of chains. I guess I would share the documentation link in the chat so you could go through as well. Then you just tell us the address and the webhook destination where you would like to get an alert or a webhook sent when you would see a transaction happening on chain, right? So that's the main core of our notifications product. Anything questions, like any specific questions around these, or maybe if you would like to share your use case, so maybe we could talk about how this would fit in your use case as well.
Well, Shiv, let's go ahead. If people drop in the questions, we'll answer them. But you proceed and show us a little bit more.
Sounds good. So let's go on the next one. Like, how does this help? Uh, Basically, as I think, yeah, nice slides, I guess. Maybe the next one, I guess. Better or okay, these are yours. So maybe I'll just go on the previous one
Awesome,
and
awesome.
continue the.
Right. So what you've mentioned is webhooks. Now I'm going to give a little bit of technical introduction into what actually webhook is in case someone is unfamiliar with that. So essentially webhook is a message that's sent to you from Tatum or generally to one party from another party. And this kind of message is an object that can contain specific information. So for example, in the case of notifications, that could be the sender address, the recipient address, the amount that is going to be sent. And this is one of the things that we are going to cover a little bit later on today. But generally, it's a message that contains information about the transaction that you have just sent or received on the address that you are watching. So, for example, to compare webhooks with WebSockets, which is also one of the technologies used in blockchain often, right? So, WebSocket connection, you always need to keep it open. You always need to react to retries, to reconnections, and it's sometimes a hassle. So, with webhooks, it's simple as that. You don't need to do that. You just set your server to listen to whatever address it is listening on, and then you receive the messages from Tatum. Simple like that. And also with WebSockets, you only receive token transfers usually, right? So what if you want to get notified on Bitcoin transfers, Solana transfers, these technologies that generally don't have Reliant or generally don't have a WebSocket at all. With webhooks, you're still able to do that. So since the Tatum notification support webhook, you're always able to do that.
And just to be specific, I think we were talking here about WebSockets connecting to the nodes directly, right? So what you stream from the nodes. By the way, another interesting fact with the Tatum notifications is that you don't need to really have a protocol understanding or stuff like that, right? Let's say if you want to monitor wallets on Ethereum based chains or EVM based chains, or if you want to monitor on Solana, all you would need to do is tell us the address and you get the, let's say, webhooks or these responses in a very simple format where you have the address, the amount which has been, let's say, sent, the address to which it has been sent, and that should be it, right? So this is the best way, I guess, if you are a, let's say, more of a non-native web3 developer, or even for the web3 devs, because I don't think so it's very optimal for you to go and try to understand, let's say, all the protocols that are out there and use, let's say, WebSockets of the RPC nodes and do a lot of these development on your side where you could just use something simpler like Tatum notifications, will be giving you the exact data you need in the exact format you need when things happen on chain.
That's right. And Shiv, you said one more interesting thing that is you need to be connected directly to the server when you are using WebSockets. So with webhooks, you don't need to be connected to the server. The same server actually connects to you. So whenever you are redeploying your application or you lose connection for some reason, there's always a way to resend the notifications. I'm happy to talk about it later on in the presentation, but this would be one of the many advantages of webhooks over WebSockets.
Exactly. By the way, I think we kind of skipped one important point as well, like why this is a big deal, which I would like to get to now. Like let's say we have notifications, maybe you would be thinking, what's the big deal? Like, why can't I make it in-house, and what would be the overheads, right? So it is very interesting to understand. Let's say if you would be thinking to build a system like this in-house, right? Or do it with the nodes, then I think the biggest problem would be when you are doing this on let's say hyperactive chains like Solana or Arbitrum, then there is a lots of transactions that are coming in. So let's say if you use nodes WebSockets, or if you use any other, let's say, protocol to fetch the data from the node and process it, then you'll end up in a situation where you are processing a lot of blockchain data in the real time, and then you're trying to fetch, let's say, whatever transactions which are related to the wallets that you want to monitor, right? So in this case, your operational overheads are also too high, where using Tatum notifications, there's like close to none. Like, we do all that for you and we just send you the hooks.
Awesome. I'm going to skip to the next slide, but let us know in the chat if this is clear, if you have any questions to how webhooks work, or if this is something that you already know and it's just a walk in the park for you. So one of the things that I mentioned when comparing differences between webhooks and WebSockets is the amount of types that you can actually receive. Not only fungible tokens as you are used to, or non-fungible as well as you are used to in webhooks, but you can also account for native transfers, incoming, outgoing, any type of incoming native transfer that would otherwise not be available over WebSockets. It is available on the webhooks. That's the technology that Tatum uses behind that. Uh, as for event logs, the same thing goes here. And also, one of the things that are generally not available with other technologies is transaction fees. So this is particularly useful when you are building a, let's say, accounting software, right? And you also need to account for the transaction fees, because at the end of the day, if you have a robotic trading application, it always takes up the transaction fees that you always need to calculate in order to get to the actual zero and correct calculations. You also can get notified on failed transactions. So even though you are building a wallet, for example, you want to tell the user, hey, this is something that went wrong. So this is also a way to subscribe to any either successful transaction as well as failed transaction. So you can choose what you want to subscribe to, or you can simply use this generic event called address event, as you can see in the presentation, which will just give you anything that's happening on the address. And in a few short moments, I'll have a demo prepared for you in Postman, so you will actually be able to see both the transaction as well as the fee that we are going to be receiving notifications about. Anything to add?
I think it's good. Maybe I could just add on the point, like why you could be benefiting from this incoming, outgoing types of notifications that we support as well, right? So let's say for your use case, all you care is if a wallet receives a specific token, right? Maybe you're doing that because you want to watch the new tokens that are coming there, and based on that, make a trade or do any specific type of activity, right? Now, you could do, like, let's say, address event transaction or notifications here, but when your use case is just about listening incoming transactions, you could use incoming here as well, right? What that would help you is to drill down on types of on-chain notifications that you would like to get to. So this is a pretty interesting one to play with as well if you are building a application on top of it.
Awesome. Awesome. Are you ready for the actual demo, the presentation, the development stuff? Let me just share a little bit of that.
Certainly ready, but is Shiv ready?
Yep.
Yeah. Can you guys see my Postman now?
No, not at the moment. We
No.
see the presentation.
All right. So let me check it. Let me fix it, and I'll be right back.
That sounds good. Meanwhile, do we have any questions, guys? Jill37 says, let's go for the demo, LFG.
Just curious, is anyone from the audience currently using the notifications product specifically, or webhooks, or your application certainly must be reliant on webhooks in some way? So I wonder if you've tried Tatum notifications, already used them. Let us know.
It would be in general good to know like how you are handling, let's say, real-time transaction monitoring use case right now, and if you have a use case in your app around it.
If you
Hello,
don't want
Tatum,
to,
we can
if sorry, Shiv, if you don't want to attack this question here, you can always message us personally, and we will hop on a one-on-one call or chat with you and figure it out.
definitely will always love to talk to you about your use case and help you, as I guess Manta said. Pata, your screen is visible now. We can see the documentation and we can also see the Postman, I guess, earlier.
Amazing. All right. So what I'm going to do in the next few minutes is going to show you a little bit of documentation, a little bit of Postman. I believe these two tools, generally reading documentation as well as using Postman, is some of the things that any developer should be able to understand. But please, if you do not understand any part of that, or would you like to dig deeper into any of those topics, let us know in the chat, and we'll be happy to respond to that. So generally, there are several types, several definitions that I still need to clear out before we go into the actual Postman demo, and that is subscriptions and actual notifications. So whenever you want to subscribe to activity on address, you create a subscription, hence the word. So for example, let's say you want to watch your own address that will send you a notification, will send you a webhook anytime there is an activity on this address. Or maybe you want to subscribe to some specific mail address, Vitalik's address, or your wallet's user address. Maybe you're building an exchange and you want to subscribe to get notified on deposits into your user's address. That's also valid and valid use case that we often see here. So one subscription can send you multiple notifications, right? And you can also have multiple subscriptions. That's not a problem at all. So in this case, in this demo, I'm going to subscribe to one of my addresses, and then I will receive notifications on movements on those addresses. So far, so good. All right.
Yep. Maybe
I see some nodding heads. Awesome. Awesome.
to add
Yeah.
an analogy, you could think of subscriptions as, let's say, your postbox which you just installed, and anytime when there will be an on-chain transaction, we as Postman will bring your on-chain transactions and give it to you, right? So you just create a
Yes.
webhook with us, and then we send you whenever there is a event.
Right. Correct. So what I'm going to do is in this documentation, there is an endpoint to create a subscription. So what I'm going to be doing, I will log in into my testnet MetaMask here that is filled with 0.03 Sepolia ETH. And I'm going to be sending a transaction from this MetaMask address. So right now, I'm going to copy the address. And also, I have set up this so-called webhook site, which is a site that enables you to quickly and easily debug webhooks that you can receive. So whenever there is going to be any webhook sent to this unique URL, I will see it here in the left menu, and we can then explore this specific webhook message. So what I'm going to do here, I have prepared the payload for the endpoint here already. So I'm going to subscribe all events. This is the generic type that we just discussed earlier. That's going to be the address event on the Ethereum Sepolia testnet for this specific address. So that's my testnet address that I'm using for the purpose of this demo. And I'm going to send any messages regarding to this address to this specific URL, which normally would be your own server where you would receive the messages. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to send it to webhook side to be able to actually debug and see those messages more clearly and to share them with you. All right. So I'm going to hit send. And you can see that the ID has been changed because I have called this endpoint previously. So there was an old ID. And now I actually received this old new ID that ends with 601. All right. So I'm going to log in into my Tatum dashboard, going to refresh the page. And as I can see the testnet API key, you can see that now I have one address event type of subscription that ends with the ID 601, which I have just created. And it's subscribed to this specific address. And it's going to send messages to this. So what I'm going to do before I actually send the transaction, I want to validate that this was correctly set up. I'm going to hit the test button. And the test notification has been sent. So this is Tatum telling me that I have successfully sent the test message to webhook site. And you can already see it here on the other tab. So this is the test message. So that's why it doesn't contain any actual address. That's why it only shows the 0x and 3 dots. But right now you can see that this message was sent at 4:55 p.m., which is my local time. So you can see that this has been sent right now. Any questions, any topics, anything that you would like to cover, anything, please send it in the chat. Before we actually move to the other part, or as we move to the other part. So right now I'm going to send a little bit of ETH to my recipient address. Click continue. And I have subscribed to changes on the sender address. So what I should receive is 2 notifications. And that is, one is for the amount and the other is for the fee. So let's hit confirm. Let's wait for the transaction to be included in a block, which should be within a few seconds, assuming that Sepolia works correctly. And yes, it has been confirmed. So my balance on the address has changed. And now 2 new webhooks have been received by this debugging tool, right? So this was the older one. This was the testing. Now you can see the amount here has been deducted by 0.001, which I have just inputted. And also the fee, the amount here has been deducted by some other amount that is too complicated to pronounce. So I'm not going to do that here. But let's go over a little bit of the fields. So you can see this address and this counter address. So these are the sender and the recipient of the transaction that I have used. Also, you can see that I have sent ETH. So if I send USDT, USDC, you would see the contract address of the token. If you would see, if I send some NFTs, again, that would be the contract address of the NFT collection. And you see that this type was a native transaction. So it could have been fungible, non-fungible, or fee, like in this other case. Coming back to the native transaction, so you can also see the transaction ID. So in case you need to look up a little bit more details, you're able to do that using the transaction ID or the block number, for example. That also gives you the block time or any other specifics that might not be included in this payload. And also you can see that I have sent the transaction on the Ethereum Sepolia testnet. All right, so far so good.
Question, if I may ask, is the response the same for all chains?
That's correct. So the response is chain agnostic. So whenever you send a transaction on Ethereum or on Solana, on Bitcoin, or any other chain that generally does not follow the same architecture, you will always have the response with the same format, which makes it much more easier for you as a developer to build the responding system to the notifications.
Exactly. And this is what I was mentioning why this is super powerful, because you could be monitoring, let's say, things on UTXO chains, EVM chains, and Solana chains, which are totally three different architecture or family of chains, but you still don't need to worry about how they behave, right? And how you need to implement them. You could just use notifications.
Yes, that's correct. Also, one of the things that I forgot to mention, so whenever you create a subscription, you can see it not only in the dashboard that I just showed, but also in the API response. So that's one of the ways how you can actually control that as well. And you can see the sent notifications here as well. So as for the case that we just showed in webhook side, you can also see the address event type that has been this specific notification for a fee, as well as this other specific notification for the amount that we just sent.
Perfect.
Thanks, Peter.
Let's move ahead.
Let's go ahead back to the presentation. Let me just switch my sharing.
Totally.
All right, Shiv, are you ready to handle some of the advanced topics?
Yes. So let's start with the webhook retries, right? If you saw Peter was showing you webhook site, so basically that is a site where, let's say, we could receive webhooks for the testing purposes, see the what is the response, sample how the response looks like, and I mean, but you can play with it. But eventually, when you want to do this in your production, or let's say when you want to integrate notifications in your live applications, right? You would be using your own webhook handler or your own webhook URL in this case, right? Which you would be passing to the subscription creation endpoint. Now, what could happen is sometimes maybe your server, which is supposed to receive the webhooks, is down. In that case, Tatum does cover webhook retries as well. So let's say there was an on-chain transaction. We reach to your server. We tell you like, hey, you wanted to look if there is a transaction by, let's say, Peter, and here is one where he's sending one ETH. And let's say for some reason your servers are down, then we would have our retry policies and we would retry again. This depends definitely on the plan time, right? Plan type, right? So if you're on a free account, you are given a 3 retry policy. Like let's say we would retry 3 times, but then I think we would drop it. And it roughly starts at 40 seconds. If you're on a paid plan, then we would try up to 10 times. If you're on business plan, then we can try up to 20 times and just ensure that you get the delivery of the webhook. So that's webhook retries. Any questions on these guys?
One more thing to add on top of that is also when the retries are unsuccessful after the 10-20 retries, for example, then you also receive a dashboard alert. So there's always making sure that you don't miss the notifications.
Yes. And around, since we are talking about webhooks and deliveries, you could also look at our dashboards. I've already linked you where you could see all your active subscriptions, which Peter was showing you on the dashboard. You could also see all the webhooks or the notifications that are being sent to you in your dashboard. So feel free to look at there as well. Link should be in the comments. Let's go to the next one, I guess. Security. So we do have HMAC security as well. I mean, like HMAC is hash-based message authentication code, but I would tell you in a very simple terms, it's like, let's say if your server is exposing this webhook URL where anyone could send a webhook, right? If that's exposed, let's say, or if that gets under attack and everyone is trying to send you lots of webhooks trying to DDoS you or things like that, right? One thing that you could do to verify if this webhook has really come from Tatum or not is have this HMAC code, right? So HMAC code could be like basically any secret that you pass on your subscriptions, and when we will send our webhooks, it would include that HMAC secret, and you would know that. So you verify it, and then it helps you that. And we also have IP whitelisting around it. So we have a list of IP addresses, like you could do the IP whitelisting, but we have the list of IP addresses from which the webhooks are sent. So you can also whitelist these IPs and block all the other IPs, so you would not be getting any requests at all from the other IPs. Was that
Amazing.
clear? And
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Shiv, for that. So usually what I see or what I hear from developers is they usually start with IP whitelisting simply because it's more easy to develop and it's more easy to integrate. So Tatum has the list as Shiv mentioned, and also as your application grow and your needs for security increase, we also have advanced protection for security. So for example, if you need to protect against man in the middle attack, the HMAC signing would be the great idea to do that.
exactly. And I've also shared a link to how to configure these and documentation with whitelisting IPs as well. So feel free to definitely look at that, and it would also have all the IPs which we use to send you the webhooks. Perfect. Let's go to the next one, which is block reorg. So now you guys know as well that, let's say, when you do a transaction on chain, there's still a potential of reorgs. Like, these are quite rare, but maybe a situation could happen where your transactions which was included in a block is now not included, or maybe it is removed, or maybe there is a new transaction that has been added to the block as per reorg, which was something that you were interested to listen to, right? So Tatum also supports reorg handling. Like, whenever there is a reorg in these chains, we see those reorgs, then we immediately send you a webhook which would have, let's say, reorg true as in the flag, right? So let's say you got a notification that, hey, Pether just got 1 ETH, but during the reorg, this was, let's say, the transaction was dropped. So technically Pether did not got 1 ETH, right? So you'll get another webhook which will say reorg true. So now you know that there must have been a webhook that I have received earlier. This is somehow changed. That's why I'm receiving this reorg true webhook, and you can use that to reflect that in your applications as well. Now, yeah, as it's mentioned here, the finalization time also depends on the chains after which there is no chance of reorg. So this would depend on each type of chain which you could see as well. But regardless of the chain, when it happens, we just send you another webhook, right?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much for that, Shiv. I need to be able to validate, or I need to be able to say, hey, reorgs are very, very rare, but they do happen sometimes. And the amount of questions that we get to reorgs is actually insanely a lot. So we wanted to make sure that even for this very unlikely scenario, you as the Tatum developer users, you are prepared for those edge case scenarios as well.
Perfect. I guess to the one of the most exciting ones that I love is the pending, or let's say, mempool transactions that we support as part of our notifications. So as you know, when you broadcast a transaction on chain, it does not immediately get to on chain, right? Like, first it goes to a memory pool or a mempool, and once, let's say, the validators pick it up, validate it, and then gets added to the blockchain, right? With our notifications, you can also listen to the wallets when their transactions have just entered the mempool. So technically, the transaction has not yet fully happened or confirmed on chain, and you can still get a webhook about it, right? And the way to set that up would be like, let's say, when you're creating the subscription, which Pether was doing at that point, you choose the subscription type, you have your attributes like chain address, and then you pass the mempool as a true flag, and then we would be sending you the mempool webhooks as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is currently supported just on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and definitely there is more to come. If there is, by the way, any feature requests around or any change that you would love to have mempool notifications, feel free to put that down in the comments as well. But yeah, that's about this mempool transactions feature in our notifications. By the way, this could be a very interesting case when you want to monitor a wallet transaction before it's fully done, right? Let's say if you want to get alpha of a smart trader on Ethereum or something like that when he's about to buy some coins, and without it being done, like before it being done, which could be helpful for the use cases in trading as well.
Would you guys mind answering a couple of questions from the audience? So we have 3 questions from one member of the audience. So we'll just tackle them one by one, if you don't mind. Starting at the top, do you have a keep alive method so we could be sure we are supposed to receive the notifications?
Absolutely. So there is no need to a keep alive method, as once you subscribe, the subscription is unlimited in terms of time. So unless you cancel the subscription, unless you deleted it, it's valid forever. So as long as you are subscribed, you keep getting the notifications, and you don't need to call any keep alive. You don't need to call any health check, any type of regular call that you would need to do on WebSockets. So this is also easier with webhooks that Tatum is supporting. So once you subscribe, you are subscribed for the whole time unless you cancel the subscription.
And do you feel comfortable the second tackling the second question? Is it possible to subscribe to different addresses on same
Or
chain together and listen to different events on each contract?
Absolutely.
maybe
You're
one thing.
able to.
So maybe
Sorry,
we
Shiv,
could
go
just
on.
go on the follow-ups first. Like there is a follow-up that I guess
Oh, I
Altman
see the
has
follow-up
asked.
now. So what if Tatum site were down, right? So one of the ways we ensure that it's not down is also using a infrastructure that is multiplied around the world. So we do not only have one servers, as you can see in the list of IPs that was shared. We have about 10 servers that are sending the notifications. So even though one of them is down for maintenance, for example, all other 9 are still running. Of course, if all 10 servers were down, yes, we would try to get them up as quickly as possible. But generally, for these reasons, for example, when we provide maintenance, we have multiple servers that are always up and always sending the notifications.
Exactly. And I think as you said, Peter, like it's quite rare. So let's say if still happens because it's technology, like maybe it happened, right? We are still listening for all your things. So let's say when we get back up, it starts from the point where we have left. And let's say if you were still listening on some addresses, all those webhooks would still be sent. So you could process those in your application logic. Though as Peter said, it's quite rare. We're investing heavy on our monitoring infrastructure as well. We have a dedicated infrastructure team which is still taking care that there is no hiccup. So should rarely be the case, and I guess should not be the case anytime, but just in case if tech happens, then yeah, you are covered there as well as we start from the point. But yep, good time to go on the
Okay.
next one.
The second, yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Is it
Thanks so
possible
much for
to,
stepping in. So go on, Shiv.
no, no, I was just reading question for you, Peter. So is it possible to subscribe to different addresses on same chain together and listen to different events on each contract?
Correct. This is possible. You simply call the subscription endpoint multiple times, each time with a different address or maybe different chain if you wish. So you can subscribe
Exactly.
to the same address or multiple chains as well as multiple addresses on the same chain. You can also
Exactly.
do that via dashboard if you'd like to.
Yeah, and just to be like adding more context to it, like if you meant like, is it possible to subscribe to different addresses on same chain together? Like you can subscribe to any number of chains, right? But just to be clear, in a subscription, you just add one address. So if you would like to, let's say, have 1,000 addresses that you would like to monitor, then you would create those 1,000 subscriptions. But you can definitely monitor as many addresses that you would like to monitor, and you can definitely monitor any specific event of contract as well with the contract log event and as many contracts as you want to monitor.
And guys, do we plan to support Unichain?
Well, this is the most interesting one because I mean, yeah, it's a great chain. There's like no confirmed plans yet, but we are definitely excited about it and we are looking into it. But as said, there's no confirmed plans yet, but we are looking into it, and I would say join our Discord, be in our community because you might hear update once we are sure about it, or let's say if we see more demand, then it's like better for us to move on to it. But yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also like way for first community feedback is pretty important in building our product, and Unichain clearly in surveys comes out on top. So And we do survey our community regularly to find out what do you want to integrate next. So yeah, like Shiv said, stay tuned to our Discord channels. You'll find out pretty soon.
Exactly.
Uh,
Awesome. Great.
So yeah, guys, this is time to discuss, get granular, specific use cases, little caveats that we didn't cover. We'd love to do it right now. We still have a little bit of time. Perhaps, if you guys don't mind, I will ask a question, and I want to put you a bit on the spot because I know for people, this is for developers and anyone running an application fairly important. Is how is this priced? How competitive are we? Can you guys just speak about that for a second?
I guess like I can tell anyone like we are one of the best but the lowest cost notifications provider out there in the market. And you would probably be able to let's say if you are on your free plan, you are still able to experiment with the notifications in a way where you can test the feature. You can even have, let's say, multiple wallets subscribed at the same time, like up to 5, and look through all their stuff. So I guess we definitely have the best cost, I guess, even going beyond free. Like we are one of the lowest cost provider, as I told you. But even on the free plan, we have enough, let's say, offering that you could just test out the features and play with it. So
Right.
I
I
would
believe we recently did a little bit of research of our competition, and we came out first as in speed of Bitcoin notifications on the Bitcoin chains.
A couple of questions being added at the moment. Let's just wait for them to come through. I personally, I'm not myself directly a developer, but I think the simplicity of the documentation align also with what we have as a builder in the product. It's simple enough where even with minimal development skills, you're able to actually set it up that it works. So just my personal experience.
exactly. And I mean, if we are having, let's say, someone who is not really from a developer background, but let's say you are working in a startup, or maybe you have your own startup and you're just evaluating vendors out there, you could just play with our notifications straight from the dashboard. As I guess Peter was telling, I would quickly link you the builder where you
Mhm.
could just create notifications, or maybe we could give them a quick tour of it as well. Peter, I guess we still have 17 minutes since you're sharing screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to load the dashboard here.
Yeah, I've just linked that, by the way, in the comments where you can go and create it on the dashboard. But yeah, let's click OK. Let's click create subscription.
So I'm going to delete this one first, so you can also see that this is when you actually remove the subscription and when you can subscribe to others. So for example, when I just clicked create a subscription, I can choose to subscribe, for example, only to fungible tokens or only native transfers, right? So let's do only native transfers, or because I showed the generic endpoint earlier. So only native native transfers to
Yes.
a specific address or from a specific address. So this would be incoming or outgoing. You can set it up in the dashboard. You can choose a specific testnet if the network has multiple testnets, like in the case of Ethereum, for example, here. So
Yes.
right now, I am going to send a webhook to this specific address. And I can also test the notification here. And because I have sent a address that is not existing, then I received a failed response. But what if I
Yeah.
copied this specific URL? How do I do that?
You can just take from the top as well. Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess the main thing that I wanted to show, if you just go there, I guess, in the dashboard, right? The flow of creating the notifications.
Mm-hmm.
You just click create subscription. You fill in some of your details, and then subscription would be created for you, and you will get a webhook on your webhook site, and you can just quickly experiment with it, right? Even if you're not a developer, and you can share it with your team. And by the way, if you're wondering how you would do this on the mainnet in the dashboard, you would just switch the keys, right? So if you better just select a different API key and just show it as well, the mainnet one.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you click create subscription and then you switch it, then you would be able to create subscriptions on, let's say, mainnet as well if you select your mainnet keys here.
Yeah. So if I selected my mainnet keys, there is no subscription right now, but you could also create the subscription on the mainnet keys as well.
Exactly. So even if you are not from a technical background, I would say if you are working in a technical startup, or let's say in a Web3 startup where this thing could help your use case, definitely share it with your colleagues, or maybe give it a try as well, and let us know how was your experience.
You guys be able to clear up a versioning question that our audience has. So we have 3 and 4. I understand that can be confusing. What's the best way for people to understand the difference?
So right now, I would recommend everyone to use the version 4, which is our latest notification version, where we'll be shipping all the improved perform. I mean, right now it's on both the versions. We are keeping it 1-to-1. Though going in the long time frame, we would just be supporting our version 4 of the notification. So I would recommend using our version 4. It would have the best things that we are shipping for you.
Awesome. Yeah. So version 3 is still supported. It is not deprecated yet, but in the future, we plan to start deprecating version 3 before actual version 4. So if you start using notifications now, it's always best to use the latest version.
While we're on that topic of versioning, can you guys give us just a bit of a hint of what may be coming next for notifications in Tatum?
I'm not sure. There's definitely some things being planned, which I guess could be a good surprise, I guess. So maybe we could push it out later, I guess.
Oh, come on, give us a little hint. No commitments made, but just like where I would love to know personally.
I mean, no commitments, but I can tell you one of nice, interesting chains who did their airdrop lately are also one which we are looking at. And apart from that, I guess there's generally a lot of things that we have planned for notifications. Let's say if you would like to get alerts on staking notifications and those kinds of activities, try to make it much more easier for our community, right? Like right now, you could still do that with contract log and lots of filtering there, but we think that we can make it a lot more easier for you. So there's quite a few things planned in the future, but I would say definitely be in our Discord, because I don't want to spoil more, but yeah, there is something which could be coming up very soon, I guess,
So
around the chain.
secretive. So secretive.
Yeah, maybe you can make a guess, like in the comment, like what chain
Or
could be that
tell
thing.
us what you need. To be honest, that's
Exactly.
the way. There's one question incoming, but I'll just make a comment. One thing I heard some rumors that you may be it may be possible in the future to adapt the response and
And
change
Sui.
what the response will be.
Yes, that's
Everyone needs
definitely
to.
something. That's definitely something we have on the roadmap as well. Where let's say you could have your custom kind of responses that you could structure when you're creating a subscription. So you could select what kind of fields you would need in your responses and when not. By the way, I see Sui guys in the chat, which is nice. Ben Sui. I'm waiting for the Sui device as well, guys, by the way. Like to ship. If you know, Sui is building a gaming device as well, the handheld. I've pre-ordered, looking forward to it. But yeah,
Okay,
generally
so
in Sui is an interesting chain as well, which I think we got quite a bit of request on, and we are definitely evaluating it, and we would get back soon if there's some news around it.
but Sui, it is on a roadmap for the RPC product, right?
Yes, and we would probably be further expanding as well. But as I said, I guess no commitments on timeline yet, so we would be sharing it soon, I guess. Spark 87, I guess you're making a 2FA wallet. That's what you went to say. That's what we want to hear. You got the Sui device. Been thinking, yeah, that's a nice one, I guess. The Adult Noble. Maybe you should like, if you're interested, you should give it a shot. Like handheld and like, let's say all the games are on chain, and then yeah, it could be nice and fun. First time I would have all my gaming assets in my own control. Like let's say all my weapons and all my, because I've been a big battlegrounds player. I'm not sure if you guys know PUBG, which was a battlegrounds game, and in India it was banned at that point. I had a lot of skins and stuff, and since the game was centralized, it was banned. I lost all my assets. I would love if I would play a game on a decentralized device and all my assets are NFTs, and then like whatever happens in the jurisdiction or wherever, I still have my hard earned or let's say hard forged game assets still with my device. That would be really cool. So I think this could be really interesting with this decentralized gaming narrative and the Sui's device. But yeah, no financial
Yeah.
advice, right? So if you have been thinking to get it yourself for playing, definitely get it. But no advice on maybe getting airdrops or something. NFA.
Yeah, and disclosure that Sui was a number one requested chain in the last survey, so we're definitely hearing you guys. Where it's on its way.
Exactly. I guess Meta Bunny is getting it under the hood, like playing or farming airdrop. Well, you could do both. I would personally buy it just for playing games on it because there were quite a good titles that were probably like game titles that were working with Sui as well. So I'm really hopeful that there must be some, let's say, triple A level or at least a double A level game coming on the device and could be fun to play, I guess. And like there's no harm in getting airdrop as well, but definitely do not want to promote that as a case. By the way, this was really fun, and let us know, guys, like if you guys would like to have these AMAs and let's say our Discord town hall sessions more regularly, and maybe if you have any topics that you would like to propose.
Yeah, we'll definitely do more of these. Stay tuned to our channels. We love these discussions on other channels too. We got Telegram, we have Discord, X, and LinkedIn. Whatever you prefer, we'll try to multi-stream it, and we love your feedback. Absolutely.
And we would love
So
if anyone of you would like to join the stage next time as well.
yeah, absolutely. We all always love to hear what you guys are building. Even if you just want to send us an email, a message privately explaining your project, for us it's so curious, and we always look for different solutions of how to adapt to different use cases. So please do. I want to thank everyone on the stage as well. So Petr, Shiv, you've done an excellent job, and thanks to the audience. Thanks for attending. We really do appreciate it. Have a great week, everyone.